I've already drank half my lemonade and we haven't even started.
I'm so sorry.
Oops.
You got to conserve your lemonade, man. This is UCA. You're a vet. You should know at some point that nothing ever goes as planned on this show.
Ooh. I just discovered another book that seems really cool called Lullaby by Leila Slimani, who is a French-Moroccan author. And her story is based off a true story of a nanny who killed the children that she...
Creepy.
I know. That sounds cool to me. Like, it actually has true crime feel to it.
Yikes.
So.
Yikes forever.
Yep.
Hello. Welcome to the show, the Undercooked Show, the show where we gather our resources and stand firm against the darkness by reading people's stories and being kind of dumb. I'm not the stories being dumb. We're the ones who are usually kind of dumb about it. I never have a good formal intro for these, but if you're new, basically what we do is we get together, we talk about, we read submitted stories and we talk about them, banter our way through, and then, leave feedback for the author who submitted it. It's me, your boy, David K. I exist in a state of existential confusion about knowing how to handle this and how to get people.
If you're gonna do it, go all in. Go. It's like watch like what up, home skillet biscuits. It's your homegirl Caleb K. What's up, babies? I'm hitting you live with you.
I love you. I want it. And while you're at it, smash that like button.
No.
Don't forget to click the little bell on this podcast because there's little bells on this podcast. This will go on the Creative Horror YouTube channel at some point. I'm so apathetic about YouTube now. Say tier 2 though.
Woo!
Hi.
I
am here. I almost fell apart screaming in my bathroom like an hour ago, realizing my mortality. But I'm here now. What's up?
Thank you for being here and being mortal with us.
Aren't we all just foolish mortals?
Aren't we all just doing podcasts so we leave something of ourselves on this earth when we pass?
The reason I still do podcasts is so that when I'm like 70, and I hope I make it that long and more, so I can listen back to and be like, wow, we were such fucking idiots.
But you'll hear the good times you had with your friends, right?
That's the hope.
Yeah.
Isn't that what podcasts are? Just the friends we made along the way?
Pretty much. That's what this podcast is. That's for damn sure.
That's very true.
So, hey, I can hear the audience yelling, what are we reading today? Well, as it turns out, we are actually reading another story by our old friend, Sam, aka RabidRadioactiveRaccoons. We last covered How to Summon a Fish on this podcast, which is a fun little weird surreal story that was, got a nice dash of humor to it. And Sam sent it to us with this the following message, which I want to share. Hi, David, future David, Kaela, future Kaela, Gracie, future Gracie, and anyone else who may read this email, as well as their future versions. I'm sure the future versions of us are reading this. I have a story I would like to submit to UCA review. It is something I wrote in a caffeine-fueled haze after listening to your analysis of How to Summon a Fish. It's not really related to the content of the episode, but the inspiration to write it was somehow taken from it. Cheers, past Rabid Radioactive Raccoons.
I think what I like about this is the fact that I think this is the first time someone said, thank you for your advice. I just wrote something new inspired by your advice. And I'm like, that's awesome.
That is very cool.
The first time we're at least made aware of it. So yeah, it's very, very cool.
I'm very excited about this. And actually, friendly reminder to anybody listening, hey, our submissions are open. I'm going to mention it again at the end, but our submissions are open. If you want to share a story with us and have us critique it, if you're a horror writer and you want to just, have us go over it and just give it the, completely raw treatment, you can send it to us, midnightmarinara@gmail.com. Because that way we want to make sure that we are covering as many people as possible. But when we run low on entries, we go back to people who have a lot. We do have still a backlog, but we only have a backlog from like a few people. Like for example, Sam here, Kane Mack, Atticus Garrison. Like, is there a conspiracy here? Are you paying off other people to not write to the show? Is this like a witch's coven? Are the three of you a coven trying to make it so we only read your stories? We we've got a little bit of a dry spell going on here. So, just putting it out there. And if you are an author who these three did bribe, can you send that to us instead and then out yourselves? Because that's like illegal. And we need
Jesus Christ.
Question: can people send in fanfic?
Ooh, would we be?
That's I'm going to draw the line with fanfic. I'm drawing the line with fanfic.
I tried for you guys. I tried.
Well, it depends on what the fan.
Because then people would write like Midnight Marinera and UCA fanfic.
Oh, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, we were
none of that. No.
I know what you mean though, but the tricky part is like, I don't want YouTube to come down on that if we do have to read a fanfic.
Luckily, YouTube is not the prime source of this podcast. We are a podcast first and foremost, and always have been.
I mean, would this count as a fanfic? What if someone submitted a story that's like, this is like an SCP?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's not, because if you're trying to write it as a submission someday to SCP, then like, yeah, that's fine. Like if you're hoping, it has to fall into the horror genre for sure. And if you're doing a spin on something well established, like, hey, you want to write your own cosmic horror inspired by like Thomas Ligotti or H.P. Lovecraft or something, then like by all means,
or Victor Laval. Please read The Ballad of Black Tom.
Go listen to our episode of Darkly Lit about The Ballad of Black Tom, because I'm still thinking about how much I fucking love that novella.
So
good. But we're reading a story called Beta Testing, and this is Beta Testing by Sam. So let's pick our popcorn order. Hey, Seid, do you want to start us this time?
Sure.
Cool.
There is something relaxing. Just figure it out after that. There is something relaxing about driving for 3 hours on a perfectly straight and empty road, listening to the same 50-second song on repeat in the middle of a starless night. At least I'm pretty sure it was a straight and empty road. My only illumination was the dome light. Regardless, I poured myself another cup of coffee from the travel box, careful not to smudge the phone number scrawled on the side of the cup, not once breaking from singing along to the beautiful and eternal music loop. I pointedly ignored the vacant stares of the faces pressed against my window.
What?
Wow, there's a lot packed into that opening paragraph.
Okay, let's back the fuck up for a second.
Also, like 50-second song on repeat, like that has to be a really fucking good 50 seconds.
I mean, there is a point where I was like remember when the Pikachu movie or a Detective Pikachu movie came out, it was the it was like a joke. Like they said, hey, we're releasing the whole movie on YouTube. And then it turns out it's just Pikachu dancing to this song.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there was a point. Honestly, I watched that whole video, but I had the music on in the background while I was working. And technically that's a 30-second song. And that's like a almost 3-hour like video. So
hey, future David, can you like loop that really quietly in the background for a little while, just however long you see fit?
Yeah,
it's we all dance.
Yeah, oh yeah, there was a point I taught myself how to do that dance.
I don't know how to do that dance.
It's very simple to do. It does get repetitive. But if you after like 2 minutes, you eventually just like, whew, I get tired. Or is it 30 seconds? Maybe
maybe
it might be a little long.
Maybe it's 50 seconds and it's this song. Just going through this starless night on this straight and empty road.
He's also, YouTube always. Have you ever noticed like a lot of video game channels? If you look up like music channels, if you look them up on the internet on YouTube, they're like, hey, here's this mix expanded for like 30 minutes, but it's
for like 10 fucking hours, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like a really short video game loop. It's like if it's like, hey, here's the Starman theme for Mario, da 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 for 10 hours.
Well, okay, here's another one. I also listened to the Shantae. I
was just gonna bring that up too, but go ahead.
There's a track from not the newest Shantae, the
Half Genie Hero.
Yes, it's called Counterfeit Mermaids. And it's so good. And sometimes when I work, I'll have that on in the background, and it's repetitive, but
it's good.
My brother and I used to play the music from like the Donkey Kong Country games on loop, like fuck for just the whole damn day.
Those are good. Which
are so good.
all the Kong Country games are just
I could not like name specific ones or specific levels because that was my brother was the one who handled it. But I just remember like whatever level had like all the, like the phony vines in the background or like
Cigarette Symphony. Yeah.
or the caves.
All right. I'm a big nerd.
That's fine. That's really fine.
I love that one's amazing. I mean, all the music in those games is amazing, but Kong Country 2 in particular has like my favorite.
David has
just like daydream to them. I would have like Digimon daydreams to that specifically of me and Digimon Emperor. Anyway, the story, a lot of this first paragraph. Just going on.
Okay, let's unpack this. Okay, so listening to the same song over and over. It's the
Detective Pikachu one. Okay,
it's that Detective Pikachu 80s theme, 80s song. There's an actual title. I can't.
So they're driving on a road, listening to a song for a 50-minute second song on repeat endlessly. They have a phone number scrawled on the side of a cup of coffee. Okay, they sing along to the beautiful music. It was a straight and empty road. My only illumination was the dome light, so the light in front of it. Regardless, I poured myself another cup of coffee. Wait, while you're driving? This is already.
I mean, if they have like from the travel box, so I guess they just have like a thing of coffee that they can refill their cup with.
Oh, like kind of like when you get the travel box from like Starbucks. Like
yeah.
Okay.
Those are a little heavy, so
yeah,
that'll be tricky. But I mean, if it's a straight road and there's no one else on it, I mean, I guess you could take that gamble. But that's not safe driving, my friend.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not safe driving when you've got vacant faces staring pressed against your window while you're driving. So
that too.
I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Would you like to take the next paragraph, or shall I?
I can do it. The music stopped when the timer went off on my phone, seconds before the car radio turned on again. A long moan came from the speakers, and I carefully listened. From what at best I could tell, it was louder on the right side. I secured the lid of my cup the best that I could and screwed the cap back onto the coffee box while fastening its seatbelt. Oh, okay. So it is like
it's like in the passenger seat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but it is like the Starbucks thing. The moment the moan ended, I made the sharpest possible right turn, as in literally slamming the steering wheel as far to the right that I could. I kept turning for the next 3 minutes, keeping an eye on the clock rather than the road. Exactly 3 minutes and 16 seconds into the continuous turn, I turned off the car and put the brake pedal to the metal and simultaneously engaged the emergency brake and shifted the transmission to park. It was a heinous sound and more heinous shift of inertia.
This is bonkers. I love this.
It's weird.
How to destroy your car. Sorry, that was really loud.
I'm very intrigued so far because it sounds like this guy's been driving, waiting for this moment for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. This is almost RitualPasta.
What was that?
This is almost RitualPasta.
It sounds like we are witnessing a RitualPasta, but we're not being told the details of it.
Yeah, which is really, really great.
Yes, I like it.
Sorry.
No, I was just saying I like it.
Yeah. I do like the connective tissue of like the moan was louder on the right side. Maybe that explains why they slammed the wheel to the right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I finished off my coffee and poured another while I sat in the eventually motionless car, trying to catch the breath my locked up seat belt had stolen from me. After a few minutes, I dug around the mess strewn across the floor of the far. I guess that's the car, but it said it's the far.
Yeah, that's just a typo.
That's typos, yeah.
Oh, well, they were driving a Toyota Far. Eventually finding the monstrous carton of cigarettes, I rolled down my window as I fished out the lighter from my pocket. I grabbed my phone and set another timer, 97 seconds. Interesting. Okay.
So time is very important on this. At least numbers seem to be very important on this.
I do appreciate how this is very knowing about its genre and about what it's kind of trying to do. And Rabid's very good at this. Like we've seen this before especially with How to Summon a Fish. And it is cool knowing that for some reason, listening to our analysis on How to Summon a Fish somehow fueled the creation of this story. Like that's.
And let's not forget, this was in a caffeine-fueled haze. So the coffee makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that explains this, the ultra important coffee.
God, as a lover of caffeine and being very much dependent on it, I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I took a deep breath of the last fresh air I would get for the next 2 minutes before placing a cigarette in my mouth. I flicked on the lighter with one hand, finger hovering over the start button. One more deep breath. As soon as I started the timer, I lit the cigarette and immediately tossed it out the window. I scrambled to grab another cigarette, lighting it and throwing it out the window. I repeated this as many times as I could until I heard the alarm on my phone go off. I froze in place and started counting.
Gracie froze in place and barked at the window. Ow, don't punch me, you mean dog. Don't punch me.
She's saying, I see weird people. Oh, she's growling.
Yeah. Oh, we're
Ow.
us reading this is evoking her frustrations.
She doesn't approve of cigarette smoking. It's not good for you.
Yeah,
throw a cigarette.
That's one thing I could never get into, and I probably never will. It's
Smoking.
Never.
I hope you never will.
Well, I don't find the appeal. Yeah, cigarette smoking sucks, doesn't it, Gracie? Well, okay, because
maybe she needs a cigarette.
Yeah, our dog.
Gracie desperately needs to smoke. Gracie was like pack a day for a while, and now she's clean, but sometimes the cravings still hit. She's trying to quit.
But
she's having an episode right now. We interrupt this episode of UCA for our dog to have an episode.
What I was saying was, like, I think I might be allergic to cigarette smoke because I automatically cough and like have a coughing fit. And it's not even like I planned for it. It just happens. And then like my nose gets stuffed up. I'm like, what the fuck? Whenever I smell cigarette smoke.
Yeah.
But also there was a point when I was a kid and I went to my aunt's place and she smoked all the time in her house. And I just remember seeing the walls just covered in like dark. And it was like, as I got older, I realized it was tar.
Oh,
from
gross.
cigarette. Yeah. And that just,
gross.
That really did, like, I already thought that it was uncomfortable. And yeah, that turned me off. I have no desire to smoke a cigarette ever.
Well, no, I'm still deeply interested in where this nonsense is going to go. So
30 seconds of utter silence passed. I let out the breath I had been holding. I poured myself a shot of coffee, downing it before taking a few deep breaths. I grabbed my coffee cup in the box and kicking open the driver's side door. Oh, wait. And the box kicking open the driver's side door. Okay. I almost stepped out before remembering to grab my phone from its holder and sliding it into my pocket. Yeah, that's your timer, man. You apparently need it. Then with the cup and coffee in hand, I set out.
Looking around, I confirmed that I was, in fact, surrounded by complete darkness beyond the meager glow of the dome light. I fiddled with the pedometer around my neck, checked its backlight function, and resetting the depressingly low number of steps I already had logged, orienting myself so that my back was flat against the side of the car. I began forward.
I'm trying to figure. So
there's gonna be a payoff.
So did basically destroyed his car by braking and all that. Smoked cigarettes, tossed it out the window, is now leaving and is walking away from the car?
Yeah, apparently.
Okay.
I walked for 155 paces before turning 45 degrees to the right and continued for 230 paces. 90-degree left turn, another 105 paces, 270-degree left turn again, 230 more paces. I made the next turn as quickly as I could without getting too motion sick, doing a 728 clockwise spin before going another 105 paces. I stopped, poured myself another cup of coffee, downing it in one long pull, 2 steps to the left, 105 paces again, 3 to the right, another 155, 1 to the left, and a final 230.
It's just a jump to the left.
I was thinking the same thing!
Yes! High five all through the internet. Holy shit.
Look, it's just
a really difficult dance to follow along.
Yeah, this is only just a really complicated guide to the time warp. That's all it is.
So David has never seen Rocky Horror Picture Show
I
live.
have seen Rocky Horror, but not live.
Yeah, that means you're still.
I have never seen it live either.
Okay, one of these days when you come by, we're gonna go see Rocky Horror Picture Show live. There's always a midnight showing, and it's just fucking insane. It's a lot of fun. People dress up.
Even now during the pandemic, there's always a...
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
they still do it live
okay.
You just can't stop it.
Yeah, you can't stop this from happening. There's always gonna be Rocky Horror Picture Show.
My Rocky Horror, my choice.
Jesus. Wait, is this yours?
It's yours.
Oh, never mind. I sat down and gave my tired legs a rest. I averted my eyes as I pulled out my phone and unlocked it. What faint light I could see from it hurt my eyes. By touch and sound alone, I set a timer for 10 minutes before placing it back in my pocket. I did some stretches as I waited, drank a carefully rationed cup of coffee, and counted in finger binary as I waited. It seemed like an eternity before my phone vibrated my pocket. I stood up and reached for the doorknob. Wait, doorknob?
Oh, the unseen door swung open silently on rusty hinges, and even the imperceptibly dim light of the hallway hurt my eyes, because they were still standing in complete darkness. Still, nonetheless, I stepped forward, squinting heavily as my eyes slowly adjusted to the very gradually increasing light. The hallway seemed to stretch on forever, and I had to take several coffee breaks to coax my increasingly protesting legs to carry me further. At the very end of the hallway, a figure wearing a hooded black robe stood next to a door. They looked at me with a hidden face, awaiting my answer. Dang. So they just walked all the way to Zach Baggins' Haunted Museum. They opened the door they actually opened was the Dybbuk box, and they were just like, fuck you, Zach.
The one thing I gotta say I do appreciate is the moments where they say, oh, the light kind of hurt my eyes from that. I love the fact that Rabid recognizes like these moments that people would react to, and that actually adds a little bit of realism despite the craziness that's happening right now. So, and
that was a nice touch. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that kind of, if you're gonna write something like baffling like this, like just like what the fuck is going on, or not baffling. There's a like just surreal. Yeah, you have to have moments of
to ground it.
Exactly. So that way, when the surreal stuff does happen, you're like, okay, you get the effect that you want.
We have no idea what's going on, but the character does.
Yes.
Our protagonist does, and that I think is what's important. We're kind of just along for the ride, and we just assume that they know what they're doing. So this is interesting. I always like that aspect of it.
Oh my god! Can you hear the music?
Yes.
What? Wait, what music?
I can. It's very quiet, but I
don't hear
I can
music.
hear it a little bit.
All right, hold on. I'm just gonna close. All right, I have my window open still, and like my neighbors on the other side are just sometimes the music is just so goddamn loud.
Hey, there's been moments where our neighbors have like blasted music, and I think it actually appeared on like some podcast episodes. They're like, oh yeah, like.
There's been times I've had to go knock on the wall, be like, "Hey, turn it down." And we have neighbors.
No, this is like 1 o'clock in the morning. We've had.
Yeah, that's only the time I've done it. Honestly, is when it got really, really late at night, and they were still going.
And I think the worst one was when they were watching Bohemian Rhapsody, and it was like blasted like so loud, and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, and you finally said, "Please turn it down." Like, really? Why are you having it up so loud?
That was okay because they did once I knocked on the wall, they turned it down. So
yeah, I do appreciate. Yeah, there's still there's Lida. Oh, whose is this?
This is mine.
Okay,
that's my is it Lida or Lida?
I think it's up to you.
Lida
works.
I told the shape. It nodded silently and reached up, opening a trapdoor in the ceiling and releasing a set of ancient mahogany stairs. I ascended into a small circular room, in the middle of which stood a mirror. Turning away, I walked backwards until I was flat up against the surface of the mirror.
I took a moment and weighed the box of coffee in my hand and poured myself a final cup, a slight frown forming on my face as I realized that I had misjudged how much was left. I checked the side of the cup, making sure that the now faded number was still legible. I downed my coffee and with my left hand tossed the cup over my right shoulder.
This is fascinating. Mm-hmm. I know I keep saying that, but without turning to face it, I carefully sidestepped around the mirror. From there, I only needed to take a single step to reach the massive stone gates, intricate reliefs of unthinkable things carved with impossible detail in the dark rock. I set the box down beside me as I looked at what seemed to be I set the box down beside me as I looked at what seemed to be more So what seemed to be a wall infinitely tall and wide. Yeah, that sentence could use a little work.
Yeah.
Just a couple words missing and move some things around. That's it.
Am I next?
Yes. We're blazing through this. So.
Yeah. With a silent apology to my legs, I stomped twice with my right foot and brought up my hands to the left of my head to clap. Then I stomped twice with my right foot, clapping to the right of my head. I cannot even begin to guess how many times I repeated this until the unfeeling gates took pity and slowly ground open with an earth-shaking noise. I grabbed my box of coffee before trudging forward. I like that wherever he's going, he's bringing coffee.
You got to have the coffee.
I feel for this person. I genuinely feel for this person.
You got to have the coffee.
Like, what if this is just the commute to the office and he's making sure he brings coffee for everybody?
Well, this is how you know this story is fueled by caffeine, because the coffee is the most important. The coffee is a touchstone in this one.
I stomped twice to my right, left. What's that? Cha-cha slide? I think
it's a cha-cha slide. They're just doing the cha-cha slide,
and that's why this gate is taking pity on him.
Oh, it's not even silent disco night. Okay, fine. Gates open.
Look, you can't do this. You're too white. Just
is it
mine? Say just read.
I just read. So
okay.
So it is yours.
Within the cavernous room, dimly lit by a single light from above, was a giant crow. It lay on the ground, covered in a robe made of human... Oh my God! Made of human faces sewn together. Ha! With eyes of endless and unspeakable void, it watched dispassionately as I approached. Didn't see that coming.
Oh, this is going to be interesting. It took all the effort, nerve, and strength I had left to even try to stand tall before a beast so ancient and powerful. I call out to you, are you Guthla, speaker of the nine seas?
As my words echoed forth into that eternity, the bird slowly nodded its head with a sense of tired wisdom. With a knowing and infinite gaze, it silently begged for the question that it had so many times before.
Instead, I gave a tired nod. Okay, great, thanks. Beginning to make my way to the exit, I stopped and turned around. You wouldn't care for some coffee, would you? I think I have about a cup left in here. I lift the cardboard box to indicate what I was talking about. That's a great way. You're basically talking to a cosmic horror, and it's like, you want coffee? I mean,
like, everyone enjoys a good cup of joe.
But like, I am a cosmic horror. People worship the ground that I walk upon. I have a cloak of human faces sewn together.
Oh yes, I would love a cup of coffee. Thank you.
Yeah. Watch, this is what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, where are we now?
I was met.
And that's me. It is me, right?
Yeah.
I was met with a withering gaze, and after a literally immeasurable amount of time, literally, I was given the same slow nod as before. I set down the box carefully, gave a polite smile, and slowly forced myself to walk the long distance to the invisibly glowing threshold.
I like that this crow's just staring like, I don't know. Do I want one?
What was the point of them going to talk to Guthla, speaker of the 19th?
Cool.
Okay, great, thanks. And they go to leave. Huh?
It silently begged for the question that it had so many times before.
Instead, I gave a tired nod. I almost like the idea that this person's just like here to deliver some some cosmic entity's coffee.
Well, he said, "Would you care for some coffee?" Like, I feel like this was just a...
Yeah.
There's so much effort that was put into this. Whose turn is
I am. Me.
Oh, go ahead.
Me. I got back in my car. I made an illegal U-turn and, after about a mile, pulled back through the intersection where two pairs of identical chain restaurants stood across from each other.
A Starbucks and a Starbucks.
So fucking is. That's where I got the coffee. I parked in front of the east side one, in the space literally across from where I had parked at the beginning of my journey. See, it's where he got the coffee. Oh, yeah. I dragged myself into the coffee shop.
Yep.
And made for the bathroom.
It's totally Starbucks.
Starbucks is the only place where there'd be a Starbucks. An intersection where there like, this is actually very generous because, there's intersections where there's a Starbucks on each corner and on the island in the middle of the intersection.
Oh God.
Like, oh no,
it's a traffic circle, and on all four, like on the 4 compass points of this, there's a Starbucks, and then on the island in the middle of the traffic circle, there's a Starbucks.
If I recall,
I'm sure.
Like, actually at the shopping center that we go to, there's a Starbucks there, but you can also go inside our local grocery store, and there's a Starbucks inside.
I remember that's been a joke since like the early 2000s, at least, at bare minimum. Like, geez Louise. It's never. So I think it's you, Kaela. I think you get to wrap this up.
10 minutes later, I was sitting at a table by the window, phone in one hand and an irresponsibly large travel mug of espresso in the other. They are gone. I sent my boss an email. The ritual worked and was fit for publication.
Hey.
I spent the rest of my evening contemplating just how much my remaining travel budget could be spent on coffee.
This is a fun little story. I like this.
I'm wondering if, like, part of the ritual was to deliver this coffee. Maybe that.
No, I think this guy's job is just to test rituals.
Oh, the ritual working was fit for. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
And he's just like, since I'm here and I got some coffee, you want it? Okay, cool. I gotta go.
The story is called beta testing. So they're testing to see if
you go.
That's testing, or a group that's testing to see if the rituals work before they get like thrown out onto the internet or whatever.
Oh my
God. That's
I love it.
That's great. Oh my God, that's great. I like that.
That's so good. This is great. Very fun, self-aware kind of story. Doesn't overstay its welcome. Ends when it needs to end. Full of lots of fun, tongue-in-cheek aspects of it. Surreal, whimsical. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like this.
This was very enjoyable.
And you know, Wes, we don't pull punches on this podcast when it comes to stories. I mean, beyond that one little bit where the wording was kind of confusing, honestly, I think this is pretty well crafted, and I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, all it needs is just some little cleanup with phrases, and there's like a few typos. But like aside from that, this is like perfect shot of espresso to just kind of pep you up.
Oh yeah,
Can that just be my freshest rating right there?
That's fine. I will give it for freshness ratings. I'll give it 4 Starbucks at an intersection.
I will give it the coffee shop that is your local coffee shop that's not Starbucks and you only go there every so often because it's not as convenient, but when you go there the coffee is fine.
And they got that really cute barista who always wears that shirt made out of human faces.
Yeah. And then you ask them when they ask to write your name, you say, "I am Garutha."
When they ask you for your order, they go, "Ka!"
Oh my god! Actually, there's a place up in Burbank that's a pretty good coffee shop. There was a weird point where we saw like what was on there, and David's like, "Oh, Mexican mochas," and friend of the show's Kira Buckland is obsessed over Mexican mochas.
It's no secret that Kira is a coffee fiend. That's what I've known her for a while, and that's like her big thing. But for also almost as long as I've known her, her favorite like drink in the entire world are iced Mexican mochas.
Yeah.
So if you go into this one particular coffee shop and ask for a Kira, they'll give you an iced Mexican
mocha. Yeah, it turns out that they're like, "Oh yeah, Kira Buckland, she comes here all the time," and we're like, "Oh, okay."
It's the Voice Actors Coffee Shop. I won't say where it is.
No.
But it's somewhere in Burbank.
And like, well, everyone lives in Burbank.
Everyone except us.
Yeah.
We don't live in Burbank.
But I love the fact you can order a Kira there, and they're like, "Oh, iced Mexican mocha coming right up."
Pro tip.
But Mexican mochas are really good, actually.
I wouldn't know because I hate coffee.
It's almost like hot chocolate in a weird way.
Does it have a coffee taste to it though?
Mocha's, yeah. I mean, it's chocolate and espresso. So
yeah, I won't touch it. I like the smell of coffee. I do not like the taste of coffee. Just can't do it. Can't do it. Keep in mind, I'm someone who only takes caffeine in dire circumstances, and that is when I get a migraine. And I've talked about this on Choice Dregs before, which, by the way, if you're a patron, you can hear the bits that we cut out of the beginnings of, parts of that we cut out of these episodes, or the bits that we do to warm up and get into the episodes.
This time, I made David and Kaela look at porn.
Yeah. You won't see the porn, but you'll hear us reacting to the porn. So, because we're a very sex positive group around here. Patrons at any level can get those. Those come out bi-monthly. They come out every other week that we don't release a UCA episode when we do have them available. Sometimes we do an episode that's so clean that we don't have any dregs, and that's happened a couple times. But I don't know, this one will be a good one. Also, patrons do get priority when it comes to the stories that we read. If patrons submit stories, we kind of move them to the front of the queue where we can. So yeah, things to check out. There will be more goodies in the future as we kind of, figure out where we're going to go with other shows. For example, later this season, specifically for our 7-year anniversary of Midnight Marinara, we will break our hiatus to include a new original episode of the podcast. One that Kaela and I are writing, or I should say Kaela wrote it. I'm just kind of adding my own touches to it, but it should be interesting.
I say, do you want to talk about the Boo Olympics?
The Boo Olympics. For the first time ever, we're doing the Boo Olympics. So for starting already, it started, guys. Get on it. Come on.
We're working on it.
Until October, every month, the entirety of the Creative Horror crew, to some extent, will be participating in these monthly challenges to celebrate Halloween, because why the fuck not? Like, we love Halloween. Let's just make the best of it.
We'll make it our own, because the rest of the world sure isn't.
Hell yeah. So the month of July, we are having a creepy cooking contest with actual food, not just stories. So each of us, we have been separated into teams. David and Kaela are team Shadow Monarchy.
We are the Shadow Monarchy.
Shadow Monarchy. Alan and I are the Best Fiends.
Which is an amazing name, by the way.
And then we have Henry and Ravel, who are my co-hosts on The Witching Hour. They are a team, the Red Plague. Abysme and Paprika were going to participate as a team. I dubbed them the UFOs, but they may not. I don't think they're participating in this first challenge. We might get them in on another challenge, or they might contribute in other ways. But for this first month of July, we are doing a cooking contest. Next month in August, we're doing a costume contest. There's a story contest, and then there will be a pumpkin carving contest. If you got some culinary skills or just want to participate for fun and think you can make a cool, creepy, Halloween-inspired dish, do it and take pictures and then send it to me at jessiereyes@creativehorror.com, and I will feature your dishes alongside all of ours when we put out a little video on our YouTube page of just us failing at cooking. But also, listeners will get to vote on who wins the contest. So
it's exciting stuff, and we're already gearing up, doing our best for this first one, which I admit I have no skill at whatsoever. But we're going to do our best because we have some cool ideas.
I have some skill.
I am willing to do what I can to make this work, and we will work together.
Yes.
For
the contestants, for us contestants, we have to make a dish that is comprised of 2 components. So each contestant has to make a piece. For listeners, you can just make whatever you want. It doesn't just be one thing. But like for my day, Alan and I have divided. We know what we're each making, and mine requires some baking. And I have been doing a lot of baking, so I'm confident. But I'm also like, this could totally not work. So it's exciting. It's fun. It gives us something to do. It gives us a way to celebrate Halloween. We'd love to have listeners participate. There's more information on creativehorror.com at the creators blog. And there is also a thread on our Twitter, creative_horror. at creative_horror, with more information there too and links. Yeah.
Awesome. That's a lot of plugs, but if you stuck with us through the plugs, hopefully there's be some stuff for you to look forward to in the near future. Definitely go check out the other podcasts we have on the network while you're at it. You know what they are. And if you don't, just go to creativehorror.com and you'll see them.
Everything's there. Just go there.
Yeah, it's a way to be succinct. And again, you want to submit your stories, midnightmarinara@gmail.com. Email them to me there. I will get to them eventually. I promise.
He promises.
I promise, and I keep them. I try to keep my promises wherever I can. That said, thank you both for being part of this episode. Who knows where we'll be next week or next time we record. Not next week. What am I talking about? The ritual is really throwing me off. Maybe because you're all obsessed with coffee, and somehow that there's like a residual coffee addiction that bleeds over to me. No.
Join us.
Never.
Enjoy the
No,
coffee.
I drink Dr. Pepper to fight headaches. I'm not a person who.
Good evening, intrepid listeners. This is the Pasta Shade, the host of Midnight Marinara, and this podcast is part of CreativeHorror.com, a network of podcasts and creators working together to build a constructive community of horror fans. For more content like this, visit us at CreativeHorror.com.